I just got an idea to show you me cooking a meal that, like, the steps in order to make a somewhat decent looking meal, somewhat good meal in a truck when you only have one burner and one pot and you only have a small space of a cooler to keep your cold stuff. Show you how to make a somewhat decent meal, one that me and Steven like to make quite often because it's simple to make, and yeah, that's about it. As you can see here, I'm making rice. This is rice that comes, it's one of those Uncle Ben's microwavable rice, but we obviously don't have a microwave. So I put in the juice of some canned, or cupped I guess, corn, and then the juice of the salmon can to add to this so that it adds the moisture enough to make the rice fluffy. So I'm just stirring it up. It's pretty much almost ready. I kind of thought about doing this a little after I started actually cooking, so it's not going to take very long now. It's pretty much almost done, and I'll show you what I do next. Next step, adding a bit of margarine. It just kind of makes the rice a little bit more stickier and fluffier and adds to the whole thing. This is something that Steven's gotten from his stepmom, who's Asian, so we like to add a little bit just to add a bit of flavor, add a different sort of texture to the rice, especially with this rice because it's not obviously your good old rice that you'd actually steam in a pot with water. It's a little bit more basic than that, so it adds a bit something to it. So that's done. This is the stuff that Steven introduced me to. It's called Maggi. It's sort of like a somewhat sort of like a soy sauce, except it's got a lot more flavor than soy sauce does. So we like to add a bit of this to it with the fish and the corn. It adds a really good flavor. So yeah. Next comes corn. I showed you this in our shopping haul, but we found these cups in the States of it's canned corn, but it's a little cup of corn. They're really good for like a single meal serving. Those cans of corn that would be our other choice are too much food for one serving, and it's really hard to keep the leftovers, so we use these instead. So I'm going to add this, and then I'm going to add the salmon. Alright, so corn is added, and so is the salmon. I took 2 cans of salmon. We try to eat on a budget, so there's 1 can of sockeye here, and then 1 can of the Pacific or something. Some sort of like basic salmon that's not quite as good. It almost looks white. So I took both of those cans and dumped them in, and there's the corn underneath right there. So I'm going to break up the salmon and mix the corn in, and I'll show you the final product. And here's the final product. So it basically is just rice with corn and salmon cut up into it. And then we're going to take some wraps, some whole wheat wraps, and stick a bit of this in the whole wheat wraps and eat it. And then Steven will probably finish off whatever is left over after we have a couple wraps. That is our dinner. Sort of healthy, sort of not, making do with what we have in a small space with minimal resources. And that is cooking with Leslie.